Okay, I'm going to work on a video today to help you with completing the square, which is important, and a lot of people are really terrible at it, and there's all these different methods. So most of the time, just FYI, the purpose of completing the square is to turn a quadratic into vertex form. That's actually usually the only reason that I use it. You can also use it to solve an equation, but this video is going to be more about just turning it into vertex form. So you're going to start with something that's in this form, and the goal is to turn it into this form. Okay, and so it's from this to this, and so what you end up doing is trying to make this a perfect square so that you can factor it down. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So the best way to do it is just with an example, and I'll show you the acronym that I use, and I can't remember. Let's see. Well, let me write out a problem first. So let's take y equals something like 2x squared, minus 8x plus 5. And we are going to do completing the square. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I do an M for move. So you want to move the constant. Now, people do this all different ways. I actually move the constant to the other side of the equation. So I just do like minus 5 here, minus 5 there, and I move it over. So I rewrite it on this side. Once it's over here, then I'm still focused on this side, and the goal is to factor the leading coefficient. Okay, the F is for factor, and I'm just going to put LC for leading coefficient. So the 2, I don't want the 2, so I'm going to take it out of both of these terms. And this side I'm just recopying. Okay, so notice here I left some room to groove, and that's on purpose. You're going to now insert a number right here. Now, insert your number, and this is in order to complete the square. And the way that you get this magic number is you look at this middle term, which I'm going to call a b right here. It's kind of like it's the b from up here, the b, they're all, you could call it a b. You take that b and you cut it in half, and then you square it. Okay, so middle term, cut in half, squared. So 8 cut in half is a 4, right? And then 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is a 16. And then whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other. Now, here's the kicker. I realize I just added a 16, and you really probably think, okay, well, she put a plus 16 there, so she's going to put a plus 16 there, right? Okay, well, wrong, because this 16 is inside of these parentheses, and there's a 2 in the front that affects it. Which means, think about it, if I distributed that 2, this 16 would really be what number? Well, it would be a 32. So that's what I'm going to add to the other side. So I wrote in a plus 16 here, but always check the front, and whatever you did to one side, so 2 times 16 is what I did here, plus 32, I've got to do it to the other side. Now, after you do that, you're going to condense or simplify. You might use the word simplify. I call it condensing. I've got a y. Let's see, if I put these two numbers together, it looks like a positive 27. And then I recopy my 2, and I'm just going to factor this down. So if you factor this, guys, I'm going to show you a middle step. If you factor that, it would be x minus 4 times x minus 4. Okay, this is a perfect square. That's the purpose of making up this numbers. It's always going to make these two match. Now, instead of writing it twice like that, I'm just going to write it in the parentheses once and put a squared on the outside, because that is the same thing as that, right? So now we're pretty much almost done. At the end, you just want to kick this number back over. So this plus 27, we're going to do a minus 27 to both sides. And now you are in vertex form, okay? So what does this tell you? Well, it tells you that this parabola, which you might not have known anything about the way it's going to look, you might have been like, I don't know what that's going to look like. Well, what it's going to look like is it's going to have a vertex at h comma k, And the h is the opposite of what's in these parentheses. And the k is exactly what you see at the back here. So the vertex of this parabola is at 4, -27, and then from there you could sketch a nice little parabola. All right, hopefully that helps, and if not, let me know. If you're working problems and you ever see the word solve instead of just putting into vertex form, it's the same exact thing that I did here, except the y might have been a 0, and that's fine. If it was this equals 0, then do the same thing I did, and at the end you just wouldn't have this y happening. It would just be numbers on this side, and that's actually a little bit easier. So anyways, let me know if you get stuck on something, but that's how it works.